So welcome to your darling station, the Living TV. Welcome to another edition of Nigeria Today. Nigeria Today comes to you from the stable of Living TV, where we'll discuss current affairs and topical issues and also trending headlines in our country and our various states. Today I have your favorite discussants. From my far left I have Comrade Nnamdi Elekwachi. Comrade Nnamdi Elekwachi is political affairs analyst and also public affairs analyst as well. Comrade, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me join you.
After him, I have Barrister Chukwuemeka Nwankwo. Barrister Chukwuemeka Nwankwo. He is a security consultant and a practicing lawyer here in Aba. Barrister, welcome to the program.
Thank you, moderator, and good day, viewers.
Today, we are starting with Plateau State, that is in Jos. Over 20 governors of the APC and many other party chieftains arrived at the Jos airport with over 30 private jets to witness the presidential campaign inauguration of Bola Ahmed Tinubu and his running mate Alhaji Kashim Shettima, and over 95 aircrafts, both private and commercial planes, were there that conveyed the bigwigs of the APC. Let me start with you, Comrade. Now, with about 30 to 35 private jets and about 95 aircrafts, is that a show of affluence or may campaign for the presidency of this country?
Well, it means that there were available airplanes, if you ask me, to convey these persons. To me, I don't want to be looking at it from that perspective. In Nigeria, we all know that some of these presidential aspirants, some of them have jets, some of them also have some who have jets. In fact, we've seen even a case where the wife of the APC presidential aspirant, that's Senator Tinubu, was to visit flood victims, flood disaster victims, and she was conveyed the presidential fleet, an aircraft from the presidential fleet. So it's what it is. But to me, it wasn't even the high point of the whole thing. That wasn't even the drama. The drama itself was what actually happened in the course of the whole,
We are coming to that.
in the course of the whole inauguration of the much-awaited campaign. Thank you.
All right, the council, talking about 95 aircrafts, both private and commercial, in just a campaign, though an inaugural campaign, of the presidential campaign of the APC. And at that point, I don't see that as a mere affluence compared to what Nigerians are looking for.
I see that as crass irresponsibility on the part of those involved and a demonstration of insensitivity. At a time like this that we are groaning, I can bet you that the people who came to the rally in those aircraft, most of them would not be paying from their pockets. Eventually, the Nigerian state somehow would be paying, if not already they had paid. Again, it mirrors or evidences the fact that the APC has made the Nigerian roads so unsafe that even they themselves cannot travel by road again. If road had been safe, most of them would have come by road. But today, no part of Nigeria is safe, except a few places down south, particularly maybe around the core southeastern areas, a few southwest and south-south. Even by yesterday, we saw clips of herdsmen attack somewhere between Calabar and Ekom that was trending. So, in effect, they are living with what they have sown in the Nigerian society. They sowed this seed of discord, they sowed this insecurity, and that is why everybody is now taking to the air and flying. And they are forgetting that after flying, somehow you'll have to land somewhere. So if they had made Nigeria more safe, they would have been coming by road. If they are not insensitive to the plight of the people, they would have come by road. They're only after their own skin. That is just their own word.
Okay, comrade.
Yeah.
Well, if one says that Nigeria should be mourning at this time, considering the flood that ravaged almost a part of the country.
Yeah.
One says that the country, Nigeria, is supposed to be mourning. I'm not sure that person is mistaken. And then, with this high level of affluence, what do you think the political message will be to the people, especially in that plateau? You know, they've suffered most when you talk about, in fact, they'll be compared with Benue State.
Yeah. So I think Council has actually done justice to that by telling us the message APC was actually conveying. But we also have to understand the place of Plateau State in terms of campaign and then electioneering in Nigeria. That was where I think Biola's campaign in 1993 was flagged off. That was also the same place PDP in 1998 held a convention. That is also the same place today, APC, flagged off its own campaign. But when you look at the whole thing from the optics, you begin to see, I hadn't wanted to pay particular attention to that because it's what we see every day, that there is this ostentatious godliness exhibited by the political class, often. You understand what I'm saying? All of them, they have access to private jets, and it doesn't even matter whether the common person or the citizens, those they are aspiring to lead, can actually access it. And if we begin to calculate the billions that have been spent in the name of hiring, renting, and what have you, you may be shocked. It's not even to talk about the one the space for hangar and the rest of them at the so-called just airport. It's even to even know that that airport was not the busiest yesterday in our country. So it is what it is, that these persons, they too understand that they are not able to address current insecurity ravaging the country, not even the flood. Because if you talk about the flood, I have talked about it, and I said there are two things for which I blame the government. One is responsive foreign policy. How do you engage with Cameroon? From where we know that Lagdo Dam, water is released to go down through the River Benue and overwhelm inundate communities in Boronu, Adamawa, coming down south, and then again, not being heedful to warnings from NIMET, Nigerian Meteorological Agency, and then again, even Nigerian Hydrological South Agencies, and other agencies and bodies. They warned that there will be flash flood come this year. What did the government do in terms of mitigation? Nothing. You understand? Even at the point, it wasn't even one of the campaign issues until one of the candidates started visiting the rabid communities. So it tells you that this person
in his canoe.
Yes, in his canoe. It tells you that these persons are sometimes cut off from the rest of us. But anyway, I think the much awaited, the much anticipated campaign flag of has actually come and gone, and the history is with us. And I hope it's what we talk going forward.
All right, Council, let's come to the campaign message carried to the plateau. Invariably, it's meant for all Nigerians, and how Tinubu is going to take over the stage. And there was this particular mistake, even if you are listening to so many radio commentaries and so on this morning, it was also announced, that mistake. So, what is your take on the messages?
The only message that I was able to get from the gamut of what they presented was the blessing pronounced upon Nigeria and PDP by the Jagaban himself. He blessed Nigeria, then he blessed the PDP.
Even as a candidate in APC?
The clips are there. I would be surprised if you didn't, if you are just seeing it or hearing about it. Yes, he showered his praises and blessings upon PDP, for which the likes of Senator Dino Melaye took to the stage to, thank him for blessing the PDP and for appreciating the position of the PDP. When your opponent begins to praise you and bless you at his own inaugural rally, that can now tell you what will happen eventually. Because like Dino Melaye was saying, and some other commentators had alluded to, definitely nobody is trying to make a joke of him. Nobody. But when you put yourself forward as having the necessary qualifications to occupy a particular position, it becomes the duty of those that you are going to govern to x-ray with fine-tooth comb and examine whether you actually possess those qualities. The job, the number one job in Nigeria, is the topmost job in Nigeria. That of the chief executive, that of the commander-in-chief, that of the head of state, that of the president, all rolled into one. So, if you're asking us for it, it requires somebody who can think on his feet. Not somebody given to memory lapses. Not somebody given to amnesia. Not somebody given to dementia. Not somebody given to, instability and frailness of the body frame. Such that you can barely stand unless people crowd you and use their body to prop you up. Is that the type of person to? At a time, the nation is sick because the leaders are sick. Okay. So if you are putting yourself out as having all it takes, then don't blame us if we begin to check whether you actually possess those things. Nobody is talking ill about you. Nobody is insulting you. But you cannot come and tell us, I have the experience. I have all it takes. When you can barely talk to us. When you cannot even reason. If you go into the Committee of Nations and you have to match wits with leaders of other nations, people like Biden of the US and so on. I mean, is that the way you're going to represent Nigeria? Is that the way you're going to lead us? Is that the way you're going to be thinking and talking? They are discussing A, you are discussing B. We already have it now. We already have it now. Are we going to make that mistake a second time? You know what I'm talking about?
Well, let us stop at that question. Are we going to make that mistake a second time? That is, if actually we are on the verge of making a mistake.
Yes.
All right, comrade. From what council said,
yes,
and it is trending even all over, and then do we see that as a mere hallucination from the APC candidate?
Well, some people have called it many things. Some say it was a freelance leap. Yeah, some say it was a freelance leap, and some said it was actually what it is, that there is incoherence associated with this person. You understand? Some say that he lacks the mental coordination to be the president at the time like this, especially those of his opposition. And we expect this to happen when something like this comes up. But if you see, I want to say something. Tinubu said Nigeria will not sink under his watch, and that he has come to rescue the youth. These are the two things I want to look at. You say Nigeria will not sink under your watch. The truth, as we know, is that Nigeria is sinking on all fronts currently, and it has not been easy for President Muhammadu Buhari. He himself has admitted that it has not been easy.
That has failed.
Admitted, and the wife also admitted and apologized to Nigerians that they may not have gotten it right. You understand that, but they should forgive them. Now, you can't come to tell a candidate whom you've been avoiding, mind you, he has not been talking to us. All of a sudden, you now came out to say you sustain the legacies of Muhammad Buhari. I want to understand those legacies. No, I want to understand those mechanisms because this is a democracy.
Keeping balance with his people.
We are not here to establish anything. We are reviewing what has been established. What the people have said. I don't even want to begin to list out the statements associated to him, the metaphoric things associated to him, and even things that actually point to incoherence. But at the time like this, we should be asking ourselves the question Prof put forward. Is this how we want to go forward? If it is fine, it's okay. If Nigeria said he defeated, it's okay. But we should not also forget that for the since 1999, every 8 years, in fact, the first 8 years in 1999, after 99, we elected a sitting president, the president of President Omar Musa, God rest his soul. And what we are told, we even saw it in the optics. What was that? He was as fit as a feather, or he was as fit as feather, that he actually plays the game of squash. That he was actually active in the game of squash. We know how he was smuggled into the country. We know the number of times he was smuggled out too. You understand? And the logjam is created, even constitutional logjam, how our budget was signed. We have not even established that one until the doctrine of necessity prevailed. Now, after 8 years in 2007, we now came to 2015. It was President Muhammad Buhari who had become a medical resident of the United Kingdom. As I stand to, yes, I want to be it is my own personal view that President Muhammad Buhari is a medical resident of the United Kingdom. Medically, he resides here. Politically, he resides here. So now we are also seeing things from the optics, whether Tinubu is fit or not. He has not come out to say, and he has not even been able to see. He has not even been making appearances like others. When you talk about Atiku, Obi, Pampaso, Showore, and the rest of them, he has not been making public appearances. So each time he does appear in the public, the citizens take something, and the issue, it bothers me. You understand? I have concern. It's not. I do not hate Tinubu. I do not hate Atiku. No, Obi, but we should be interested in Nigeria. How will it be possible, or how will we feel if someone who does not have maybe the required coordination is to represent us at the UN? You understand what I'm saying? So the
somebody is unable to stand.
The truth about it is that let me tell you the story. You see, something happened in the time when Yar'Adua was the president. Adeniyi reported it in his book. Omar Musa Yar'Adua was burdened to the extent that there were rumors that he can't make it to Togo for ECOWAS session. He forced himself and went there. He nearly slumped at the airport. So if he had slumped finally, do you know what it would have meant? That Nigeria slumped. So and then maybe a journalist like some of us is to write and comes up with a rider or a living or a lead story or a caption that says at Togo, Nigeria slumps. So you know what that means. So that's why we are concerned. We are not establishing or preempting Tinubu's doctors. We are saying let them make the whole thing clear to us.
I wouldn't want the
Let us
story
know.
of Tinubu to dominate the whole there.
Yeah.
If not, I was really actually going to ask. Yes, you're still going to tackle with this question. This is not the first time Tinubu is talking about standing on the legacies of
the memories of Muhammad
Buhari. I would within a few seconds, because we have a lot to explain today. I would want you to counsel. Let us look at the policies of Tinubu, policies of Buhari that Tinubu is going to stand on. That has always been one of his major campaign words. And that, yes. While saying that, also I would also let you know that while endorsing the candidates of APC in just the 2023 presidential election of Tinubu and his running mate, the president, PMB, said no election winner will be denied his mandate in 2023 general election. And then this statement brought a lot of mixed feelings. Is he talking about the APC or generally? So counsel.
Well, we do not know what is in PMB's mind. He speaks, the few times he bothers to speak at all with his mouth, he says very little and speaks more in riddles. We are left to conjecture and speculate as to what he means. Other times, he talks to us with his shoulder, with his elbow, with his ear, with his knee,
body
and
language.
the evil trio of the presidency will come and explain it as body language. This is, you're talking about the legacies of Buhari. You will find that Buhari has been keeping malice with his people, the citizenry. He doesn't engage us. He doesn't. How many times have you heard the president engaging the press, the public, in off-the-cuff question and answer? How many times? I stand to be corrected. The citizenry, debates, that are things that we witness from other world leaders. How many times have you ever heard of such in Nigeria? The free fall of the naira, that is his legacy. He inherited it at less than 200 naira to $1. Today, only God knows how much a dollar stands to naira. The nosedive of the economy, whereby people who earn salary are expected to pay rent, feed and clothe themselves and their families, make savings, and even acquire property. Meanwhile, the salary is below what anybody can even use to buy anything. And you also expect.
I am talking about the policy Tinubu said is going to.
These are the policies. I don't know which other policy you are referring to.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, nobody is a repository of knowledge. So I am talking from my own perspective. If you have others, draw my attention to it. I don't know how much you are buying a liter of petrol. These are legacies of Buhari.
I want to briefly make this intervention. President Muhammad Buhari was elected on three-pronged areas. Based on
insecurity. That is also
economy.
They've invaded everywhere.
And corruption.
Fight against corruption.
Yes, fight against corruption. Now look at insecurity. We have seen that under this administration, a splinter group like Ansel and Iswa and the rest of them have grown in confidence that even Abuja is being threatened. That's on the part of insecurity. The same insecurity we said he retired as a major general, he knows one or two things about, if he even talk with the government, it shows you that he has intelligence. So he should be able to address the situation. Now, under his watch, Abuja became saying that the other day, there was advisory released by the US, by the United Kingdom, Canada, Denmark, and they left the shores of this country. That's insecurity. Now, economy. And today,
Tinubu will continue with that legacy of insecurity.
I'm coming. Today,
yes.
inflation stands 21.9%. Let me tell you, the assumption of 2023 budget is that inflation will be 17%. Do you know what that means? Deficit on it is coming. And every day we still talk about what?
Legacy.
We are talking about what? The realizable tendency of the budget. How realistic is the budget? And now again, we are having at 3%. We are having inflation 1.9%. We are having underinflation. Underemployment. We are also having a lot of issues. Now, family finances are shrinking. How many families can buy a bag of rice as we are entering Christmas?
50,000 naira a bag. Whereas salary of the minimum wage is 30,000.
Now you come to the issue of corruption. This administration was actually voted into office to fight corruption, no doubt. It was under this administration again that we started hearing what in literature they call anthropomorphization, that reptiles,
baboon will swallow millions.
And primates will go into a vault, swallow money and undetected.
Even termite will also eat up records for money.
Yes, and termite will eat up record. So there are no systems, no backup for all those.
Okay, I think we are going to come back to that. Let us.
No, these are the things that Tinubu has promised that he will continue.
Unless Tinubu meant that he would better the record.
He never said so. He said he will continue.
Yes,
we are not misquoting him. He said he will continue the legacies of Buhari, the legacy of insecurity, a poor economy, and so on and so forth.
Council, that is what he may have said, but as his
because
an incoming president,
from the same party.
I think all he means is that it's going to better, you know,
the cost of credit. But
I don't know you as his public relations officer.
You see, there is something about this election, but nobody has committed to that in his speeches, and I'm also wanting to see him enforce it. He said, even in the United Kingdom, even before now, that this election, the winner will assume.
Yes, he repeated it. Yes. All right. You know, shortly before we go on break, let us take a look. Yesterday here we almost exhausted what we have on issues of the moment concerning Professor Chukwuma Soludo on his attack on P2B, the presidential candidate of Labour Party. But today, yesterday, the same P2B, the presidential candidate of Labour Party, made a statement, and that statement is worth listening to. And I think maybe you have one or two things to say from there, because he also said that Soludo has no effective contribution to 2023 presidential election. So whatever thing he is saying, it does not represent the stance of the Southeast people. So let us have this video clip and see what what P2B had to say himself. The video clip, please.
When you spread your investment, some will go up, some will come down, but overall, the company is still there, the company is still doing well, it's still part of a global chain and everything. I needed to explain it, not because I'm defending comment by my brother. My brother is the brother, I remain my brother, we're very close, I remain prayerful for him. For other things which I didn't succeed, God has given him opportunity to do it and succeed. For me, yes. So if there's anything pending, governance you don't finish. People are still in government in America. So you stop where you stop, other people will continue from there. I don't look back. He's the governor of my state. I'll always, he's my senior brother. He's even more intelligent because he's a professor. I'm a trader. So he knows more. So he will be able to do things better than I'm doing it. You know, I've done my little own as a trader. Now the professor is there. He will do his own as a professor. The schools that didn't roof, he will roof them. That's how government goes. Another person comes, do his own. But let us think about, finally, like I tell you people, for those of you who are, just please get involved.
I'm sure you had that.
Yes.
And irrespective of the series of attacks and, you know, as they talked about by senior Igbo persons and so on, you had his comment.
Yes.
Council.
Yes. I think
still refer to him as his elder brother.
I would score P2B, though he's not the candidate of my own party. Or regarding the issue between him and his elder brother Soludo, I will score P2B's response or handling of this particular matter as very good. That's how I score it. He made very short work of the entire thing, and I think, in my own opinion, closed the matter. Look, I'm a trader. I handled it from the perspective of a trader. Government is a continuum. You are a professor. You are now there. You know better than I do. You are my elder brother. You now have opportunity. The things I didn't get right, you now have the opportunity, get them right. The things I didn't do them. The things I didn't, maybe I started, I didn't conclude them. End of the matter. And let us make progress.
Yes.
Okay, comrade.
Yes, I think it's still the same thing. I'm still standing on where council is standing. But the thing there is that there is something beautiful about it all. Peter Obi showed the emotional intelligence and the maturity. He didn't even come to begin to join words. The fact we have established that there is investment left. So why is it that in Nigeria, people leave office and we are talking about every time embezzlement? Now we are not talking about investment, whether the returns are in kobo or in naira. You understand? But this man made investment. Now he has said it. Government is continuing. Anywhere I stop, You continue from there. And then if the schools I failed to roof, you now have opportunity to roof them, meaning that everything has been put to rest. So I don't know whether the part 2 of what Soludo has actually done before. We now address this comment. But to be honest with you, and before we conclude this matter, I have read everything Soludo wrote. I have read and I have watched the interview. There is no relationship between the interview where you said that someone's investments were worth next to nothing, and the agenda you are doing to tell us that the person will not win election. I had expected him to address the issue of the investment, whether or not there were investments left by Obi, or misinvestment at least. But he didn't say anything of the sort. He now diverted veered off to that he will not be winning the election. To me, it is internal contradiction, and it leaves.
No, he had considered that there were investments.
Somebody told
just
us
that he said the amount.
Somebody told us here in this platform that even William Biano, who left office, also agreed that some of the investments of P2B was what assisted him, or rather helped him to ensure that
to build
the airport in Anambra State. I think that's all right. Viewers, please don't go away. Keep watching Living TV. We're going to go on a very short break. When we come back, Nigeria Today continues. glad you're still there watching Living TV and your favorite program, Nigeria Today. The government of Rivers State, Wike, has signed an executive order 22 in Port Harcourt yesterday. In that order, he banned the use of premises, building, and sundry structures in residential areas as campaign offices by political parties. The Order 22 prohibits postings of bills, posters, and related materials in unauthorized places in Port Harcourt, River State. And let me start with you, comrade. For Onyesowike to have done this, considering the he has with his political, not his political party anyway, but Atiku's the national chairman of the party,
yeah,
and the presidential, team of Atiku. Wouldn't anybody think he's doing that because of them?
That's what people will actually conclude, you understand? Because we've seen the back and forth, the issue, and the problem they've had since that very primary elections, where Wike came out and started talking hard, felt betrayed by some persons, including those whom he have worked with and has helped in one way or another. But to me, the Order 22, when I saw it yesterday, I gave it the political interpretation it was also about. That one, if you look at the 2023 election, Wike doesn't have much again, except to the extent he may influence or change the tide, either in favor of PDP or against them. That's if he was able to do it at the end of the day. But the whole truth remains that all the movement. In fact, I saw a clip where he was talking about bringing in Peter Obi, Bankwaso,
yes,
even Buhari, in that order, serious to come and commission projects. That if he doesn't bring in any other person, that those ones should be inviting to come and commission or come and commission that project. It speaks to something that the person who should be commissioning the project is supposed to be Atiku Abubakar, whom he should be projecting. But since this face-off and then this issue has been lingering to the extent that a campaign council or at the state level was actually constituted, making him more or less a floor member. And you know what I speak to, so, and to an extent, you know Wike, you know him very well, that he's somebody who knows how to bring out controversy. Remember, he was the one who drew our attention to the fact that VAT was neither in the executive list nor concurrently. So expect him to exhibit. We are seeing a lot, even from his band, everything. He's just having as well time towards the end of the mission. But what it simply means is that he is putting a caveat to structures, especially as they have to do with PDP, if you ask me.
Okay, Council, Wike is a lawyer just like yourself, and then this thing is not a bill that passed through the State House of Assembly.
That's executive order.
Yes, it's an executive order. And what's your take on this?
Well, you know that the process of passing bills, it has a procedure, a format that you must comply with strictly. Otherwise, it's neither here nor there. But you then use some of these executive orders to bypass the legal requirement for passage of bills and provide authorization for certain actions to be taken by state actors in relation to matters maybe considered unique, peculiar, or urgent. That is actually what is happening in this situation. I think that we need executive orders more in the realm of some religious organizations who favor, who appreciate and find attractive warehouses, using such warehouses at night to disturb people. Their general overseers and pastors spend all their time sleeping in the daytime when normal mortals, ordinary mortals like us, go about our normal duties. And by the time it is night, when God has given for us to sleep, we retire to sleep. That is when they start their tarry night. You will see inside the warehouse, maybe 5 of them. And they will bring the loudspeaker and position it outside facing people's residential homes. And they will be inside there shouting. And when you go to tell them, look, I can't sleep with this volume, They will say that the prayer they are making is disturbing. Of course, the prayer is disturbing. When what we classify in agriculture, weed as a plant growing where it is not needed. So when prayer is misplaced or taken out of context or where it's supposed to be, it becomes noise pollution. That is the truth of the matter. And so if he is saying that campaign should not be taken to residential areas, that is proper. I don't see anything wrong with that. If he is
posters.
Yes. Now look at what we are also facing even in Abia State. The median along Factory Road and so on. The government spends a lot of money to paint it. But during electioneering campaigns, what do you see? People will start posting. Yes. At the end of the day, government is expected to bring out money to repaint. Why wouldn't government try and apprehend some of those people who have painted? So if he has signed an executive bill that tends to compel people or direct people to behave properly, I don't see anything wrong with that. I don't see anything wrong with it. It's just that maybe coming at a time that one would say, why didn't you do this all this while? He can also argue that, well,
even when he was campaigning,
this is the time I am waking up and remembering it all. So let's not push those things out of context or beyond what we can easily.
But I think the essence of executive orders is to help the executive acquire parliamentarian or what you may call extra parliamentarian or extra legislative powers. Because if you are to allow these things to pass through, just like Council has said, there are hurdles that may actually be made. So executive orders are suitable for emergency period.
Okay, the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Farouk Yahaya, has said in Meduguri that the Army will continue to review strategies to overwhelm and defeat the terrorists and other criminals in the country. Council, do you think this is early and they're starting here on time, and yet we're still the noise of war and killings?
Yes. Coming from my own background in security, I've said it here time and over and again. If the necessary political will is given to our security agents and agencies to root out these miscreants, these bandits, these terrorists, the Nigerian army that we know has what it takes. 1 month is too long for them. We have all the necessary intelligence, so there's nothing like going to acquire intelligence. They already, even bloody civilians and idle civilians, have an idea where these bandits are. How much more the security agencies? The day the government of APC in place today at the center decides that enough is enough for these people, it will not be done by coming to tell us every time you give them marching orders. Mr. President has marched them for so long that if it is marching, they ought to have known how to march by now. Every time he has given marching order, we are tired of all these rhetorics. Somebody will come and tell us we are going to do. Don't tell us what you are going to do. Show us. Let us have a quiet and secure nation, and we will know you've done your job. That is actually security. You know security has succeeded when you don't notice anything. Yeah. When you notice anything, then there is a failure of security. That is just it. So they should stop telling us playing to the gallery. That's what they are doing. If they want to root out these terrorists, they know what to do. In less than a month, they will either eliminate them completely or flush them out of this nation. People should stop playing with our sensibilities.
Well, I don't want us, comrade, I wouldn't want us to go back, in retrospect to what happened at the Kuje prison break and even the warnings, yet it happened. Yeah. So concerning this and what Farouk has said, and also compare it with the security situation in the nation. So what's your take on that?
Well, I think, like Council said, the Nigerian military, which although it now appears overwhelmed, has all it takes to win this war. Although I understand, I understand that this is an asymmetrical warfare. You don't just easily overcome. You need to deploy a lot of intelligence and a lot of other paraphernalia to overcome or to win a war like this. But to be honest, I think we hear this every other day.
Every 2 months they'll tell us something.
We even begin to hear about change of the name of the operation from in fact we've heard
from crocodile tears to crocodile smile to crocodile dance.
Good names of these operations. We've had good names and them. But the truth is that at a point, sometime I think last 3 months or so, the army was making advances and recording some gains. Militarily, they were driving out these ones, bombing some places in this Borno state, and they were running towards the Boko Haram agent, the Ansaru and the rest of them were running towards the axis of Borno and then the Chad and the rest of them. But unfortunately, I wouldn't know what led to what. We were being told now that Abuja could be under siege in a couple of days time, and
they should come back and protect them.
And the panic it all created. So I think the main thing is to find consistency and then reassure the Nigerian military and give them more incentives, incentivize them and let their morale be high. We are talking about the same military that kept the peace in places like Liberia, Congo, Sierra Leone, and what have you. So the country that shouldered the bulk of what will happen in the days of ECOMO, that's ECOWAS monitoring group, I don't think it's beyond Nigerian army, to be honest. It just has to do with the body language and the willpower of the leadership.
All right. The presidential candidate of PDP, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, recently visited Southeast Zone to meet party stakeholders. Atiku was quoted as saying that the zone should wait for him to serve out his tenure, and then that he will be the proper person to hand over to the Igbos. And then Atiku's promise angered the people of the zone, that is the Southeasterners. They see that as an insult and also insensitive, to even the person who was making that sort. And this thing elicited a lot of statements. For instance, Atiku can't determine when Southeast gets president. That was from Carlo Prescali Dicacali, the former.
Yes.
And another person, he said it is insensitive of Atiku of the North, to always shift goals. That is from the Abia monarchs. And then the third person, there were many of them, that is Ezeife, he said no Southerner should vote Atiku because as far as they are concerned, I don't see any reason for the Igbos to mount this presidency council.
Well, when you are dealing with democracy, you talk about government of the people, for the people, by the people. You also talk about the minority having their say and the majority having their way. When you deny the minority their say, it becomes a problem. When you deny the majority their way, it becomes a problem. One person cannot sit within the comfort of his bedroom or sitting room and determine that it will swing this way or that way, or that one particular zone should wait or should not wait. Many people who are flexing muscles verbally regarding the elections curiously seem not to have PVCs. Something of interest happened not long ago, maybe a couple of days, weeks back now, when INEC came up with figures of people who were eligible voters, who had registered but whose registration status were invalidated by INEC. The statistics seem to show that the larger chunk of those disqualified came from the Southeast. If we are flexing muscles verbally and we do not have the numerical strength to back it up, it becomes a problem. I always think that no one zone in Nigeria can successfully produce a president without the other zones. Neither the North can produce president without the South, nor can the South produce president without the North. How much less a zone? So the issue of dialogue, discussion, negotiation, and engagement in terms of, okay, it is our turn or it is not our turn. If we allow you to go, what is the need for us? Type of discussion. That is the type of things we will begin to bring forward to the table. At the end of the day, there must be some form of alliances, some form of negotiations. The candidates for now seem to be playing more of hard to get, like in those days we were in secondary school and early university. The chicks, you know, they say the chicks are playing hard to get, you remember. So each person appears entrenched in his own zone, but as the time for election draws much closer, we will begin to see either the alliances or a situation where we will be going for a runoff, definitely. It's either we have those alliances or we go for the runoff. And then during the alliances, that's when these negotiations, you must come out with your best foot, with your best shot, and give the impression that you can survive without any person. That's the rule of negotiation.
Okay, comrade.
Yeah. Well, to me, Atiku has been saying this. This is not the first time he's saying it.
Do you see it as an insult to the Igbos or to the Southeasterners?
If Atiku has respect enough for the Southeasterners, I wouldn't know why he would have.
Sorry, they also said that they have contributed enough in the PDP. That's the South.
That's what people will always say. You should also remember that although I will give you to Atiku to an extent, you remember when he said that if it was on zoning and the PDP had agreed to zone it to Southeast, that he will not be there. It was just when Wike said it was going to be about competence and character that Atiku threw his hat into or joined the race. But to be honest, we should be able to draw individual interest, partisan interest, and regional interest. And Atiku carries all of them. Individually, it's been his dream to be the president of this country. He's been there since 1992. Remember, Atiku was in the race when the Abiola issue came up in the June 12, 1993. He was in the primaries until some certain persons were disqualified. And then Abiola, even to the extent that Abiola was urged to make him the running mate. In 1999 also, it was not much different. He won the governorship of Adamawa State and was made the running mate to Obasanjo. In 2003, he nearly contested, even against his own master. He nearly contested.
They had to prevail on him.
In 2007, he was there. So it tells that this individual has interest to rule Nigeria. Then he has been carrying one party or the other. He's either been PDP or ACN for him. Now again, he's now in PDP. He's now talking about what a region. We've also seen him talk about the need for the North to come together and support him, not to support those from other geopolitical zones. That is article for you. So it's we should understand that no geopolitical zone, no region should be used as a trade-off or a trading block. Every region should be just strategic, knowing what you want and how to get it. For me, what article said is already dead and alive. How many years is he going to be the president? Is he going to be 4 years or 8 years? When there is a change in the political permutation going forward in the future, we really remember he has made this promise today. That's the thing.
All right. Let's look at two foreign issues. One is, before we go, one is about Donald Trump, who has launched his campaign to win the Republican presidential nomination in 2024. He has promised Americans that America is going to be great and glorious again. Having served, it was only 4 years and council.
Yes, but of instructive note is the fact that his nominees and candidates have been failing. And it goes to show us how he will also fail. The Americans are not happy with Donald Trump. He has lost relevance. He has lost face. He has, well, personally, I think that ab initio, he even had no ideas. He just wanted to, like some people we know, wanted to be president at all costs. When eventually they got it, not believing it would have worked, they had no ideas to back it up, and they were trying to learn in the job. But the presidency of a nation is not where you go to learn.
Yes.
Okay, comrade, just a jiffy.
Okay, you see, before now, as an international relations someone, you know, we were talking about globally, we were talking about political comebacks of some. We even talk about Benjamin Netanyahu, who actually won the election to come back again as the Prime Minister of Israel. We also remember the case of Lula da Silva of Brazil, who also want to come back. These are ex-president and prime minister. Understand? Now, people were also projecting for Donald Trump whether he will stage a comeback. But what we saw in the midterm election, they just concluded midterm elections point otherwise. Like Council said, and I wouldn't know why whether he's been taken from me or something. Yes, I started to address all years. We say yes. You see. There was what they called
facts are
yes,
facts. They're secret.
There was what they called red wave, expecting that America will turn or will go red, even in the legislature, that's the Senate and the House of Reps. But all these things didn't pan out as they predicted. So it tells you that Trump may not be that popular going forward. Mind you, we are even talking about right-wing populism again in America, as it were. When we have cases like the 6th January or February saga, when the Congress was actually invaded and the angry mob took over the Capitol. So, to me, Trump has a lot to address. And since the candidate is so far sanctioned and endorsed, couldn't win the landslide, it also point to something. Even some of his allies were telling him this morning not to declare. But he went ahead to declare. So,
all right.
Let's see how it goes.
Finally, a 24-year-old lady has committed suicide in Lilongwe in Malawi. The deceased is a student and an entrepreneur. Mary Lulu is her name. She did this because the boyfriend dumped her for another lady he pregnanted. And because of this, she couldn't bear it. So she had to commit suicide.
Well, it's so sad.
We can have even the degree of...
Yes, we wouldn't tell people not to fall in love. We cannot do that. The only advice we would give people is, while falling in love with your heart, also keep your brain around you, keep your mind, your head safe, and know that anything can happen. Most times on my WhatsApp status, you see the things I put out, they always be careful. Anything can happen. So it's not the end of the world. Having seen her picture, I mean, she's nice looking. She could jolly well have gotten, there might even have been some other young men around eyeing her, and all they need is to get an idea that, look, this other guy is no longer in the picture, and they would jump at her. So why would anybody kill himself or herself because of another? That's wrong.
Because she had believed they will be tied together soon. And then
she can live on her life.
She must have invested a lot of emotion, and this is why I say mental health should be emphasized upon. You see, the problem we have in Africa is that, sorry to say this thing, but it's still in tandem with what Council say about churches here and there. Some of these pastors now begin to even talk about issues of psychology, whether they have the certificate or not. Some of them are even performing as clinical psychologists. See, the issue of emotion, it requires expert handling. Many people are suicidal in thought, and you may not know, and they are not expressing it. There are no outlets until it happens. Just last week, it happened in 10 Mainland Bridge.
Yes, the DSS lady.
A beautiful lady like that. I had a call, maybe there was an altercation between him and the boyfriend. He told the driver to stop, and the driver stopped. The next thing we heard was that she jumped into the water. And I do not know if, as of yet, she's been found. So I think experts should begin to talk more, and then throw the emphasis where it is needed. Begin to. The problem is that we don't even have the more here again. People need psychology to go and work in the bank. and I wouldn't know.
or the boutique. They open their boutique.
And pastors now become psychologists. Pastors do counseling. You go to church, you have marriage counseling, youth counseling. People are praying for people. People are also counseling people on career paths.
People counsel married people.
Yes.
What about those who are not?
We should have family psychologists.
Pastors are they counsel. So okay, that is it. It's just like what happened in Calabar. Your colleague, the two of them, both the man and woman.
Yes, the tragic accident.
The man sitting with the side chick, not even in a hotel room, but outside. And as soon as the man saw the wife,
he took off.
He took off with the.
For security reasons. If he had stayed there, if he had stayed there, yes.
And died there.
And the man is alive, the side chick is alive. Eventually, the side chick might end up
being the wife.
Now officially and formally in the residence of the woman. So
all right, our wonderful viewers, thank you for being there. Keep watching Living TV. Remember, tomorrow is our Issues of the Moment, and I'm sure you'll be there again also. And from my far left today is Comrade Nnamdi Elegwachi. Comrade, you're welcome today. Thank you for being part of the program, brother.
Thank you for having me.
And Barrister Chukwemeka Wogo, thank you for being part of the program.
Thank you, sir.
And this is your anchor man, Chinedum Adele. Tomorrow, remember, we'll be here again.
Every little thing that goes wrong, we start to blame the government. We know everything that goes wrong because we are part of the government. Let's save Nigeria, so Nigeria won't die. Which way Nigeria? Which way Nigeria? Tell me, which way to go? Which way to go? Inefficiency and indiscipline is ruining the country now. Corruption here, there, and everywhere. Inflation is soaring high. Let's save Nigeria, so Nigeria won't die. Which way Nigeria? Which way Nigeria? Which way to go? Which way Nigeria? One more time. Which way Nigeria? Amen.